All right, guys, welcome to the Tom Reefer Studio. Here it is, the 20-gallon mixed reef, 3.5-gallon Pico, the 6-gallon tall, and the 10-gallon Peninsula Reef. Today we're going to talk about each one, some parameters, some calcium questions, and some maintenance questions on each one. All right, guys, you caught me. I just saw this front glass just wasn't looking clean enough. So it's about 9 a.m. and I just couldn't help but get in here and clean this one little section off that I didn't like. Now, this is the way I am.
Get the babysitter paid and don't go home now.
All right, guys. That was pretty far. I probably shouldn't have jumped. Today I'm going to show you each one of the tanks in the studio. Each one has something going on in there that I can show you and how it relates to whether it be parameters or lighting, things that we seem to always be concerned about when we're doing our maintenance or our reef keeping. All right, so let's take a look at it. First we'll do the 20, then we'll do the 3.5-gallon Pico, then we'll do the 6-gallon tall and the 10-gallon Peninsula, which is right next to me. So let's start with the 20. All right, let's set up here today, guys. A lot of people ask me how I keep my 20-gallon stable. You know, the common belief is that smaller nano reefs are more difficult than larger ones. And I disagree with that, because as long as you're keeping normal maintenance schedules, water change schedule, your dosing, and your calcium addition, if you use it in your ATO, then there really is no fluctuation. All right, first I wanted to show you the SPS here. The growth on them has been quite decent. The last few months, they've really exploded. This fire digitata is really growing like crazy. And if you notice here, I know people chuckle at my green star polyp. It's just an issue of keeping it trimmed back, guys. I'll go in here with a razor blade and I'll just push down on the green star polyp to keep it from climbing up the stylophora. And the same back here, I just push it back and it seems to keep its distance. It won't overgrow. Here's the acropora. It's growing really well. Look at these oscillopora growing on the sides of this rock here. I'll probably have to break those off eventually. So my parameters in this tank are 8.3 pH, around 9 DKH. It varies when I've tested over the last year. I've probably only tested DKH maybe 6 months ago was the last time I tested DKH in here. This here is the way it is because I cut that off because it was growing so big it was covering up the digitata. And what I did is, I've done this before, I've taken the fragment that came off and I've put it down there. I usually test phosphate and nitrate maybe once a month, once every 2 months, but really only if things don't look well. Then we'll do the 3.5-gallon Pico. Everything's growing really well in here. 3.5 gallons. This I do weekly water changes on. I don't mess around with this because I don't want the parameters to get out of control. What I mean is nitrate and phosphate. You see the reflection back there in the Kalkwasser, they're budding. The Duncan is doing really well. It's multiple heads are growing. It had 2 when I started. And now underneath there, there's all the babies. You can't really see them, but there's 3 or 4 underneath. This guy, this is the scrambled eggs. It's funny, it's multiplied, but they don't open up. And I'm not sure why. They're not opening wide like they used to, but they've multiplied. So you can see a few have opened. Fish guy Mike said it might be being stung by something. If you have any ideas, let me know. They just haven't opened up, but they're not dying. They're multiplying. They're just not opening up. There's also a peppermint shrimp in here. He doesn't come out at all. All right, so what we got going on in the 6-gallon tall, guys, is some bleaching. Can you see it? New viewers, what I did was I turned up the AI Prime because I had an issue with my Kenya tree not opening up. In hindsight, that had nothing to do with it. It wasn't the light. Kenya tree goes through periodic changes where it'll close for a while and then open. It was just closed for a long time. And now it's starting to open even after I've lowered the light. But what happened was I just bleached these. That's not even the camera there. What I'm going to do is I've lowered the light back to where it was. I'm feeding a little bit more than I've fed in the past, and I'm going to see what we can do about that. I've also added a peppermint shrimp in here to get rid of this guy, and there's a couple more of them. See it? So, and this tank here was manufactured rock with a couple pieces of live rock from Fish Guy Mike's. And I've come to the conclusion, guys, the skimmer is back on. I've taken it off and on multiple times. It's back on. The skimmer just clears the water more. It takes out the compounds that are kind of clouding the tank. I've noticed a substantial difference. As long as I feed the tank and don't starve it, which I can't see myself doing because I feed every day almost, and I feed 1 fish in here. Where is he? The pajama cardinal. He hides in the back when I film. But look at this leather. This leather, by the way, came from this leather over here. And guess who's on the move? Look at him, he's back here. Rock flower that was down here this morning. He's making his way up. Maybe he wants more light. I don't know. These guys, they've been stationary for almost a year. I've put them there. They love it. This guy, he's moved around multiple times, 3 or 4 times, maybe even more. And now he's on the move again. All right, so that's what we got going here. Skimmer's back in. Parameters are fine. I'm starting to change water again on this. I stopped because I thought I was starving it. Maybe I need a little water change just to get some trace. Here's the new 10-gallon Peninsula Reef. Everything's doing really well in here. If you'll notice, somebody pointed this out in my video, Water Change Wednesday, that had some algae going on in here. After I put the astrias and the hermits in there, it's slowly coming off. It's been about a week since I put them in there, and it's really going away. There's some on this Tonga rock here, but you can see right there how they've eaten it off that section, and they'll make their way here. So I'm not going to do anything else. I go in there with a brush every once in a while, and I just brush some off to kind of help it along. But I don't really go nuts on it. I'm just allowing it to be. This tank here, guys, all I do for additions are Kalkwasser and my ATO, and that's all I'm going to do at this point. This digitata is a frag from the other tank, and it's had some nice growth. Let me show you here what it looked like when I first put it in. So you can see there's a little bit of growth, and all it is Kalkwasser and my ATO. I'll change about 20% this weekend on this. My Caulerpa's growing. As they die off, see, as the pieces die, I just pull them off. It was all the way over here, and I just pulled it off. And what I'm noticing is that, look at that guy coming out. What I'm noticing is the new section is extending out already. So this is doing okay. I wanted to put this in here to soak up some of the nitrate, so to speak. and see what we could do. I did a test the other day on this. It was 0, so obviously, like I had in my other videos, there's nitrate in your water because things are growing, algae's growing, but it's being used up. So you could have 0 nitrate and you could have some algae growth in your tank. So that's what's going on here. The new light, I have a change on that, guys. The new light, the Soul, I dropped down in white light. At first I thought it was too blue, so now I'm 40% blue and 35% royal and 70% cool white. I did par readings, 400 par at the top and about 230 par down in here and about 90 par out on the sides, out here and out here. So that's where we are with the 10 gallon. All right, guys, that's it for today. Whether you agree or not, that's it. Today was the most difficult video I've done so far. Video burnout, guys. Anyway, I'll be back Wednesday no matter what. Have a good day. Take care now.